Welcome everyone to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Dertling, and April 11th is National 8-Track Day because there's a day for everything. And on this episode, I've got Austin, fellow 8-track collector. As a matter of fact, his Instagram username is 8-Track Collector. That's how we got to know each other. He'd like my posts, I'd like his. Austin's a young guy with an old collecting habit. He's got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So, Austin, thank you very much for taking a little time to talk to me here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Cool. Yeah, you've got a lot of cool stuff. Like just behind you there, it's like a wall of 8-tracks. So it's a really cool background. And so I guess I have to ask, like, you're obviously a lot younger than me. How on earth did you get into collecting these things?
Well, it's an interesting story. So my dad had some of his tapes from when he was around my age. He had a stereo console. We brought it home, put it in the garage. As we work on things together, he would bring out his tapes every once in a while and just plug them in. In fact, I think the 4 of his original ones actually laying over there currently. So he would play them and stuff, and eventually the tape just got worn out and they didn't work anymore. And neither does the player. It's a little slow. Got to replace the belt now. But anyhow, I was looking for a record player originally when I was in middle school, and my dad said, no, you don't want that. Get something a little bit more odd, a little bit more different. Get one with an 8-track deck in it. And it was after we had drove, I think, an hour to get this stereo console from a lady. And she was getting rid of some stuff. She's like, all right, I don't want it. It's yours. She ended up throwing in a big shoebox full of 8-tracks in with the whole deal, a big box of records as well. I brought them home, plugged in the deck, and it was basically what I call uphill, what my parents call downhill from there with the obsession.
Yeah. That's very cool. And it's one of those, it's a habit it's hard enough to describe to someone why you like doing it if you have a player that works. But with me, I just simply collect them. I don't play them. I don't have a player. I used to. And those players take a lot of maintenance to keep them working correctly. The tapes require a lot of maintenance. And you not only have a lot of 8-tracks, you've got the knowledge to fix these things, which I find is really interesting.
Go ahead.
No, so your basic maintenance, when I say maintenance on these, I have an idea of what that means, but if somebody's interested in collecting 8-tracks, most people would say, yeah, you don't just buy an old 8-track player and a box of 8-tracks, just plug it in and expect it to work perfectly. Chances are you're going to end up with tape spaghetti, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
What do you need to do to prep these things so that they will work correctly?
Well, first thing I always do, if it's any player I get, my hands are still small enough to where I can kind of finesse my hand into where the deck would be, and I can trip the switch and see if the capstan will turn inside. That indicates to me that the belt's still on there. It's still functioning, and the belt's still there pretty much. It's not goo yet. What I do next then after that is I will take the cover off if it's accessible, take it off. This is for the deck, of course. Look inside, kind of clean the tape head off, the place where it passes over the 2 little prongs to change tracks with the foil splice in the tape. Clean those off, clean the capstan as well, because that's very important. And pretty much just kind of clean up any little debris. I know there's some that I've gotten from garages where they would have bug nests in them, wasp and hornet nests. So you'd have to crumble them out and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's basically just a bunch of cleaning, make sure that things work. And then after that, basically a tape, what you want to do is, well, actually here, I can show inside of a 4-track tape, inside, right here's where the pinch roller would be. What you do is you pop open the cartridge, inside, forward it to where the splice would be, take that old splice out, replace it with a new one. Foam pads, same thing. New pad. Make sure to definitely clean the roller as well, because that's also very important.
Okay. So what you just showed there was not an 8-track, but a 4-track.
Yeah.
which is a little bit different, right? That I believe 4-track came first.
Yes. Yes.
I
Indeed.
think so. What you had there is a Ventures one, like famous instrumental,
Oh yeah.
famous instrumental rock band from the '60s, and yeah, so that's a pretty good idea of what the 4-tracks look like as far as labels go. And before we started rolling, you showed me a very, very cool thing to adapt a 4-track tape so it can play in an 8-track player.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So basically, what was going on is 8 tracks were a big thing. They were just coming out, and some people that had a whole collection of these just didn't want to get rid of them right away. So what they did is they created this little adapter, and you basically, this would be acting as your pinch roller, because the 4 tracks didn't have the pinch roller. It would actually be in the machine itself and come up inside.
Yeah,
And
looks like
then
a little
this right
tiny
here,
can opener.
yeah, yeah, almost kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would go in there and just push against it and stuff. It's actually spring loaded too. If I can, you see it move a little bit there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just kind of a tension thing, and yeah, you pop it in like an 8-track, and I think it works on channels 2 and 4, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So, all the way back then, there was the issue of a format change, because as we'll see later, there's ways to change to adapt cassettes to play in 8-track players, and then, well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with VHS to DVD. People don't want to replace it. Didn't really want to replace all the videotapes, so they have those half and half machines. It's just one of those things that this technology advances. So not only do you have the 4-tracks, but you've got some of the earliest, I think some of the earliest 8-tracks made, which are known as flat packs, which are they're named just because that's what they are. They're flat. They're thinner than a regular 8-tracks. What ones do you have there?
Well, I do have the other case around here somewhere, but this is just one of them as an example of what they look like. This is
merry-go-round.
Yeah, the merry-go-round, or A Very Lovely Woman live.
Okay, so it's on A&M Records. So I mean, that's a recognizable label, and that is an 8-track flat pack because of the way that the front of it looks there, or the back of it, I guess. And one of the other cool things you've got that I don't have any of are quads, which quadraphonic sound was something that came out in the early to mid 70s. There were quadraphonic records released, but there were also quadraphonic 8-tracks, and they only had, I think, 2 programs on them instead of 4.
Yep.
And you needed special equipment to play them. But they say they had better sound. They say they had more, like instead of 2 channels, you had 4 channels. What have you got for quads?
Quads, I don't have too many, but I mean, if I see them, I just kind of pick them up no matter what they are. This actually I got in a box lot somewhere. This is Alice Cooper, was it Muscle
of Love. Yeah. So just to show everybody, this is what the regular 8-track looks like. The quads tended to be gray, and he's got two programs. This 8-track has 4. Let's see what the side looks like.
Should have a Q8, I think, on there.
Yeah. There's usually something in the serial number to indicate that there's the Q there somewhere to indicate that it's a quad. Those are very cool, and I think those were only out till like the early to mid 70s, because I don't myself ever remember seeing even used a quad 8-track or quad that's newer than, I think, 75. So that one there is from 73. I could be wrong, but it didn't last very long, and it's kind of, because it didn't last very long, it's made them highly collectible. So what are some of the go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what year did you say that you said that they might have ended or whatever?
I thought it was around 75.
Okay, this one here actually, well, I'll show this one here first. There's a Henry Mancini one.
Okay.
And then actually this one here is from 1978. This is a Ford stereo one.
Okay. Yeah. The demonstration ones. Okay. So, but it didn't last. I don't think it lasted out of the 70s.
No.
Unless it was just those demonstration tapes, because that's actually, I think, kind of how the 8-track started. They started by Learjet.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's funny because they've kind of always been sort of tied to the uh, sort of the automotive industry.
Oh yeah.
Because they were the first. They were the first format that you could play in your vehicle, and it was quite a thing. So you didn't just listen to the radio. You wanted to listen to a particular album, you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. First it was the 45s, and then 4-track was somewhere in there, and then the 8-track was like the really big kicker.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and as I've said many times, the 8-track lasted way longer than people thought that they did, but that's another story. What are some of your prized possession 8-tracks, Austin?
Well, besides those few, there's this one here, which is also kind of an odd shape. I do have another one around here somewhere.
Cavalcade of Hits. Okay, yeah.
Yep, so just the shape of it's just kind of odd. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's that one. There's a couple sealed ones. I actually do have another sealed one up there. I think it's like an orchestra tape or something up there somewhere. This one here, always collectible.
Okay, the sealed Elvis one, The Wonderful World of Christmas. Yes, yeah.
Yep.
So sealed RCA with the RCA slipcase on it, even.
Oh yeah. We got. I don't know which one I'm going to do here. All right, James Taylor, Walking Man.
Yeah, you've got that's an RCA Music Service version of that. Very cool. Yeah, sealed ones are pretty rare.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Factory sealed ones.
Yeah, I know I have a Johnny Cash one somewhere, but I totally forget. I totally forget where that got to. And then we also have Peter Frampton, I'm in You, for sealed.
Nice. Yeah, there's some value there, and that brings up a good point. A&M tapes were really cool because they're the only ones that actually had a picture of the group or whatever on the back, because most didn't. Because if you look at I've seen some old Styx ones like that where there's a picture of the band on the back, and I've got a couple Nazareth ones that are like that too. They're the only label that seemed to do that where they have any sort of artwork besides the front cover, and I don't know why, but
It's kind of an interesting thing that you mentioned that, because I have, it's not near me right now, but I have two different Carpenters greatest hits. They
were on A&M too.
Yeah, there was one, I guess, that wasn't in A&M, because this one here has a picture on the back.
I just lost your audio
again,
I have another
one that doesn't have a picture on the
back. Okay, there you go. I lost your audio for a bit, but we got it back.
Okay. All right.
So you had one Carpenters with picture and one without.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The other one without's laying over that. Actually, no, it's not behind me. I thought it was. But yeah. There's and I don't know if the other one's an A&M or not, but I don't know. That's something I'll have to look into for sure.
I bet you'll find that if you've got 8-tracks that have pictures on the back, I bet 9 times out of 10 you'll find they're an A&M one. They'd either be like Cat Stevens or, like I said, Nazareth, Styx, Head East. Trying to think who else was on A&M in the 70s, but yeah, they were known for doing that, which I think was a cool thing. It just made things a little bit different. So, what are some of so in your area, where do you find 8-tracks? Is it online, or are there places that you can drive to that actually have 8-tracks? Because I know where I live in my neck of the woods, I almost never find them in the wild, ones that I'm looking for. I almost always have to order them online. So how do you, what's your, how do you find them?
Well, it's kind of spur of the moment almost. I know flea markets are a big thing. There's two in particular that I go to a lot. Just kind of browsing around. Generally, I'll clear the entire area out of 8-tracks. There's flea markets a lot of times, garage sales. They don't turn up as often. Every once in a while they will. Yard sales, antique shops, thrift stores especially, kind of those areas. There are some that still carry them and will carry them. Like every once in a while, I'll walk into, well, especially, I think it's a Goodwill. I'll walk into and they still have a box of them there, and they'll kind of shift them and rotate them out. And so there's always something kind of new every other week when I go in and take a look around. So yeah, those are the kind of the places I'll find them, or just stumbling upon them, or if anything, if I'm really having a rough time trying to find them, eBay.
Yeah, eBay and Discogs are usually where I have to go, or if you're fortunate enough, like, to make acquaintances out there, and find somebody that's selling one or somebody that trades. But yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's a lot easier to find vinyl, especially now. It's a lot easier to find vinyl and when you're looking for 8-tracks, sometimes, especially if you're looking for specific ones,
Oh yeah.
the chances of finding something just out in the wild it's always very exciting when it happens, but doesn't happen very often, I find. Yeah. So, Austin, what would some of your, I guess, holy grails be? Like, what were some 8-tracks that you?
Well, I will say.
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, my holy grails would be. I know there's Pink Floyd ones up there. They're somewhere up in the spiral thing. Have just about every single Pink Floyd album almost. Besides the other ones that I had already shown, there's also 2 more. Just because it's from 1983. This is ZZ Top Eliminator.
Awesome. Now you have, just give me 2 seconds. You've got a Columbia House version of Eliminator. I have the RCA Music Service version, which looks quite different.
Yeah.
But yeah. ZZ, that's a cool one to have. Actually, it's not the last one. Afterburner from '85 is also on 8-track, and that's also one that I'd like to find. But yeah, you can. Yeah, that'd be cool to find.
Sure.
So what would you love? What are some 8-tracks that you? Nope, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the other last one that's a holy grail, just because it's from '81. I know I think I have John Cougar around back here somewhere from the late '80s or something like that. He's somewhere on the shelf. But the other one would be one that's a little bit harder to find. That would be Carpenters, Made in America.
Okay, yeah, and that's an A&M one, but it's also Columbia House, which is, if it doesn't have a picture on the back, that's why.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they were made to all look the same, pretty much. So what would you like to find? Like, what are some 8-tracks that you'd like to find that maybe to fill out your collection, or just, favorite artists of yours that you'd like to have the 8-tracks to? What are some of those?
I'm looking to finish out my Carpenters collection. I think I only have a couple more to go, and I'm looking to finish out my Johnny Cash collection as well, and Pink Floyd. Johnny Cash, just because that's what I kind of grew up with my dad, kind of just playing music all the time. Yeah, I think. Oh, and Buddy Holly for sure. If there's any, I think there's only like a few 8-tracks of Buddy Holly that really exist. If I know I have one. If I could just find the other couple of them, that'd be cool.
Cool. With Johnny Cash, if you want them all, you've got to go way, way up into the '80s, because most country music artists, their albums came out on 8-track all the way through the end of the 8-track era. And so I know Johnny Cash has them all the way up to, I think, 86, maybe 87, and even the first album by the Highwaymen came out on 8-track, and that's 1985. So yeah, I've seen a lot of them. They're all Columbia House ones, and they're usually very rare and in high demand.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, hopefully I'll either stumble upon it or eBay or connection somewhere.
Yeah, and the thing is, I find about really rare stuff like that, what I like to say is, you don't find it, it finds you. You're just looking somewhere, and next thing you know, oh, look at this. I wasn't.
Yeah.
You just normally find it when you're looking for it. It's when you're not looking for it, or you're looking for something else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's just like today. I went to a shop and I wasn't looking for it, but I found like a Kiss record and I'm one that I was looking for. Wasn't really looking for, just kind of browsing around and there it is. Yeah, pretty cool. There
Nice.
is
Yeah.
one thing, and I'll put this out there just in case any 8-track collectors do find it. This one here,
Is that a reel-to-reel?
which I do have on Reel to Reel, this is the one Carpenter retitled as Ticket to Ride.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, reel-to-reels are I don't have any reel-to-reels. That's a very I found that the formats of reel-to-reel has not come down in price enough for me to want to buy some, because I have seen ones on eBay that I like. I've seen like Aerosmith and Van Halen and Alice Cooper and Kiss, but they're
Oh,
like $200 starting bid. You know what I mean? Like that's just too rich for my blood. I think it'd be cool to have at least one, but yeah, that's sort of the last frontier for me. All right, for now, I'm going to stick with my 8-tracks. But
oh
so,
yeah, of course.
Austin, this has been great. It's really inspiring to see that there are younger people out there getting into this collecting habit, because most people you'll find with this collecting habit are going gray like me. So it's a lot of fun to talk to somebody, and you've obviously got an enormous collection, but you're just surrounded by them behind you there. So yeah, so if people want to look up Austin's collection on Instagram, look for 8-track collector. That's his Instagram. He always posts some great content, and yeah, follow him, give him a follow. Austin,
And
thank you very much for taking a little time out.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Keep on tracking, as they say. Thanks everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions, and a happy 8-track. That was great. Austin's a great guy to talk to, and like I said, it's inspiring to see the younger generation pick up this collecting habit. Because it is National 8-Track Day, I do want to update my what I found in the last year for RCOs, Record Club Only 8-tracks, the really rare ones. Obviously, last year was the first year I did it, so I had a lot more to talk about. This year, I've only been able to add 4 to my collection, but they're pretty cool ones, so I'm going to show you what I got. Toto 4. This is really beat up. You don't see this one all that much, and you might think that Toto 4 would be an album that would have come out retail. It was 1982. That kind of looks like it's retail, but this is a U.S. Columbia House version. It's difficult to find. I've never seen a retail one, and anytime I've seen a club one, they're all kind of in this shape. They're all pretty beaten up. Next one is really cool. I showed this one, I think, in the episode I did with Martin Popoff. 38 Special Tour de Force. This is an RCA version. This is my favorite 38 Special album, by the way. 1983. And what's really cool about this is that where most of the RCA Music Service carts are very generic looking, this one actually has a bit of personalization on it. And a bit of a stain there, but not in bad shape. Next one is it's one I got last year, just after I did my National 8-Track Day episode, 1985. Love this album, love this band, Night Rangers, 7 Wishes. This is a Columbia House, and of course they're on MCA. This is a Columbia House copy. And finally, one from 1986, one of my favorite bands and one of my favorite albums by that band. This is Kansas and Power. Love this album. This is an RCA Music Service edition. This is the last Kansas 8-track to come out. At this point, I'm only missing their best of, and if it exists, Drastic Measures as far as Kansas 8-tracks go. So that's a little epilogue to this episode. Thanks for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.